The studies that have been done just are part of this continuing debate that goes on in Washington about how we address Iran and what we do with Iran. And there, after that study came out, I was in touch with Dennis Ross, who is a fellow that I've known for many years. He is a well-known advisor to the Obama campaign on foreign policy, and especially Middle East issues. He traveled with Obama when he went to Israel and the Middle East. He has a lot of credibility in the Jewish community, and he represents the Washington Institute, which is one of the major think tanks in Washington. So all the way around, he's somebody to be taken very seriously. And I got in touch with him because I said, look, you've been part of two major studies, one at the Center for a New American Strategy, which he produced a paper for them about dealing with Iran, and then with this BPC, the Bipartisan Policy Center, which came out with this study. In the first case, he was talking about negotiations with pressure, but was very, he wasn't bloodthirsty about what he meant by pressure. You had to keep the pressure on, but he really wasn't proposing going to war. In the BPC study, although they don't say it in those words, in fact, they're saying we need to risk going to war in order to get Iran's attention. And it really was a blueprint.
BPC is Bipartisan
Policy Center. It really was a blueprint for how you go to war, while always proclaiming that you don't want to go to war, but finding yourself drawn in anyway. And they were quite prepared to do that. He signed both of those reports. And he also has signed on to another lobbying site, which is called United Against a Nuclear Iran. And it's got some of the most intense right-wing folks in the country who really fall on one side of the spectrum. There's no real balance there. And in that sense, Dennis is, I think, seen as a balancer, but he's not a balancer because he's in fact willing to go along with all of this rhetoric. And I told him, I just think that he's playing both sides of the game. And so I really wanted to know what he thought. And it was a private conversation. I don't want to put words in his mouth. But I was really concerned about this, and he gave me reassurances about what he was interested in, but I didn't find them entirely reassuring.